Hey guys, welcome back to CTN. My name's Anella.
And my name's Elizabeth. And in this space, we are having honest conversations about life and faith.
Yes, we are. So, what, Elizabeth? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. It's been precisely, I think, 2 weeks.
It
wasn't 2 weeks until you corrected me earlier on. I thought it was a week, but it's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Which is, I think it was a good break, but we definitely knew that we had to keep that momentum going. We don't stop.
What do you mean break? We've done 3 episodes, Liz.
It was a great break.
Liz, we've done 3 episodes.
And, it was a great season.
In true Elizabeth fashion, welcome to episode 4.
I'm glad for the continuity.
Welcome to episode 4. So we're going to do our icebreaker, and normally we do favorite things. So this week we're going to do favorite stories we've heard this week from the media. And I do just want to put a disclaimer out there to anybody who contacted me about marble not being a color. It's fine. You didn't need to contact me. Like, the truth will prevail. And
we are so glad that you can't. We are both glad. And then let's just do this on the camera.
All I'm saying
we
is,
are elated that you told her.
All I'm saying is that change starts with the man in the mirror. And I've looked at the man in the mirror, and we've decided that this is a change that we want to make our world a better place for you and for me. So, relax.
You will speak to the man in the mirror and to yourself, truly, about this. It's just not the case. And I'm so grateful to all of our listeners who corrected Anella.
It's fine, don't worry.
On her, I don't want to call it perspective.
It's fine.
On her truth. But it's not the truth.
It's fine. You know, to be a revolutionary, sometimes it's a lonely road, but that's fine. Everyone will catch the vision.
Well, it's going to keep being lonely because marble.
Everybody's going to catch the vision, essentially.
I don't even want to synthesize this in my head. I don't even want to start thinking the possibility. No. No,
it's all right. Don't worry. Change is coming. Change is coming. So, Liz, favorite story this week? You start.
Yes. So my favorite story this week, was basically there was a 17-year-old teenager in Florida who hacked into some major accounts. So apparently he hacked into Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Joe Biden, Barack, Kim Kardashian, and was basically falsely tweeting out requests for Bitcoin donations. The whole thing was,
this is hilarious.
I just thought, I laughed. I couldn't believe it. And then he'd been charged with like 30 felony charges. And I was just like, you're 17, like, how?
You know what? He's going to get a job. He's going to get, one of them are going to hire him.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely going to hire him.
And 27,000%. So, yeah, it was just like, he got charged with so many fraudulent charges. And it was just like, this is ridiculous. I don't know why I found it so funny. I just thought, how did he manage to do that with Bitcoin as well? I won't even go in.
Was he getting Bitcoin though? Were people sending it to him?
I don't know. Apparently he's actually those are his high profile ones. Yeah. I think apparently he's had some more low profile cases.
So he was just about his coins.
Exactly. He was doing Bitcoins, and I just found it funny. I just thought, oh my gosh. I think it's because I watched White House Down the day before, and there was that mad hacker.
What's White House Down?
I think it's White House Down. It wasn't Olympus Has Fallen. You know,
Olympus Has Fallen is the one with nothing but gun shootouts, bullets spraying everywhere.
I think that's all of them, you know.
Olympus
Because there was no distinction in my mind. The one where Jamie Foxx is president.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's one where Jamie Foxx is president, and there was a hacker on there. Like they all are.
I don't know.
So just for the
So
fact
you
that he was
found,
7.
yeah, it was coincidental, and then you found.
Yeah, it was just all very funny. So I thought that was very interesting. And it begs for us to think about our security, cyber security, Twitter's security.
Elizabeth,
Yeah.
before we go ahead, can you please log off WhatsApp web? Thanks.
I like the sound of my notifications.
All I can hear in the background is "Ting." And if you work, when you are at work, yeah, you know that sound. Especially when you don't want to be on your phone, you know the sound of WhatsApp.
Yeah. Everyone's got what's in the office.
Yeah.
Anyway, just saying. Sorry, guys. I hope you enjoyed the background music.
The notification.
What was yours?
Mine was more
somber.
Not somber, but it's definitely more me. Okay, so this week, Netflix announced. You know me, I love a good Netflix, right?
I wasn't expecting this one. Okay, go on.
Netflix announced that they are putting on Netflix. Well, it's the American one. We're kind of hoping, our fingers are crossed that it's going to be the same thing.
I like the way you said our fingers are crossed.
Our fingers are everybody in Britain, the UK,
Netflix community,
all the Black people in the Netflix community, our fingers are crossed because we're hoping that it will follow suit soon. But Netflix has announced that they are putting up a bunch of old school Black sitcoms on Netflix. And I am so stoked.
Okay.
I'll read you what they've got.
Yes, go ahead.
So stoked about this. So we've got Moesha.
Okay.
The Game. Sister, which is one of my all-time favorites. So move out of the way everything else I've been watching on Netflix. Girlfriends. The Parkers. Also, The Parkers is just amazing. Half and Half. I used to love watching Half and Half. And then the one that brings the most joy to me, especially because you can't really, I've been looking to watch it and I don't want to watch it online illegally and it's not on any other platforms, but you can't even find the DVDs for these. But One-on-One is coming and I'm so excited for One-on-One with Kyla Pratt.
I haven't watched it. You
know One-on-One with Arnez. Oh, come on, Elizabeth.
I'm sorry. As
he was a sportscaster, and then his daughter came to live with him, Brianna. Kyla Pratt, Spirit. Really? Oh, girl. Girl.
Disney. I mean, you know.
These were all. Did you watch Trouble growing up?
Yeah, I have faint memories of Trouble. But I never sat down and watched. Like, I'm not a series person. I'm like, I watch the odd show here and there. I'm not committed to I'm not committed to anybody.
You're not serious. Wow. Back in the day, right? It was hard to watch it as a series. Yeah. I think that series, for me at least, watching a series through and through became something that I started to do in university because that's when Netflix started to become more popular. And you had the opportunity to watch it like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. But back in the day on Trouble, you would just watch it whenever it was on and you just watch whatever one was on. It wasn't like you had the Sky Record thing now where you could record TV shows. You just watched it as and when it came on. So you didn't necessarily watch them in canon. But I'm so excited. So excited.
This is good. So, well, it's good in the sense that it's come out in the US and now it's come out in the UK.
Well, they're slowly releasing them in the US. So today Moesha came out in the US. I haven't checked Netflix here for it yet. I'm going to. I don't know if I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm going to check it, and then we're going to just keep petitioning because we need these shows back in our lives. These were good TV shows. Moesha was like wholesome compared to a lot of what was out there.
Do you think they're bringing them back out in light of BLM and the fact that at the moment the rate of shows that are available are becoming, it's not like there's a bottleneck, but obviously because of coronavirus, new shows aren't being made? Do you think it's a combination of factors?
I think I don't want to be cynical, but I'm leaning towards the BML thing.
Okay.
I think it's definitely catering for what is perceived as needed.
Yeah.
And I think that having why am I echoing? Oh, and I think that having these shows that are that have these Black leads and stuff like that, I think it's I'd like to say it's out of the goodness of their hearts, but to be honest with you, people have been petitioning to have these shows on air for so long, and it just so happens that it's when tensions are high and this is happening. I'm not complaining either way because we get them. But I think TV shows are still coming out, because I think with TV shows, after they are done, they have to go through production. So they have to go through a series of being edited, put together. If they need to be, if voiced overs need to happen again, stuff like that needs to happen. So I think there's still TV shows that are going to come out. I don't think we're going to see I think there may be a delay, like next year when things are supposed to be coming out next year, maybe pushed back. But I think things that are due to come out this year, they will already be in post-production. So we may not feel it like that, but I'm leaning towards the BLM thing.
Okay.
100%. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think because earlier on I feel like even when you look at things like Amazon Prime, podcasts in general, there's a lot more. There's now even a section on the main page about Black history or books that you should probably read, so there's it's more at the front of a lot of media outlets on different platforms. And so I was wondering whether this is also like a kind of participation.
But let's not go too deep in BLM, because that's our 5th episode. Lizzie's like, is it? No, it is, Lizzie. It's
that's fine. Yes, I will wait.
It's the next episode. We'll talk more about BLM. I am really excited for that.
Me too.
But, finally. Today we are talking about something that is very interesting, I think. And it's a little thing called FOMO. Now, what's your understanding of FOMO, Elsbeth?
So FOMO is the fear of missing out, right? I wasn't familiar actually with the acronym, but I was familiar with the feeling, if that makes sense. As soon as I saw it, I understood what that was.
Yeah.
So it's the fear of missing out, and it's the kind of anxiety that people get when things are happening around them, like on social media, or things are happening around them that they are not participating in. And it's just the fear of missing out on what's happening, missing out on the party. That's maybe not the party, but just
are you okay? Are we all right?
We always do these recordings very late, so you're catching me
at her peak.
Yes, so yeah, I think that's what it is. What about you, Nels?
Fear of missing out. It's definitely an interesting topic, I think, because it's something that, like you said, you may not be familiar with the acronyms, but once you found out what it meant, the feeling is something that you definitely we're able to relate to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're just going to kind of talk about what it looks like in our lives, and kind of share on it a little bit. So I know that I'll start this one. I know that for me, fear of missing out presented itself in a lot of different ways because just growing up, you always want to be in the in crowd. You always want to be where everybody is. You always want to be doing what everybody's doing. You want to wear what everybody wears. You want to, do you know what I mean? You don't want to stand out. You want to really fit in.
Yeah.
So I know growing up, there are lots of examples that I can think of. The fear where I can identify I was afraid of missing out. I think especially in secondary school it was really, really bad because, as you know, we discussed in our last podcast, her streets, her grace, her streets, her pride, his grace.
Yeah.
In that podcast, we kind of talked about our testimony. And as I was meditating on it and thinking about it, I realized that a lot of the things that I did was the fear of missing out. I was not from this country. I was an immigrant. I was, what's the word I'm looking for? I was not necessarily used to the culture of the country. Because one thing was at school, but when you go home, it's a whole... it's a Jamaican household, fam. So, do you know what I mean? There were all these things that I remember, even things like I got my ears pierced when I was about 13. Yeah. And when I got my ears pierced, my mom would not, for the life of me, let me wear hoops. I was not allowed to wear hoops.
When did you get your ears pierced?
I got my ears pierced. Was I 13? I think I was about 12.
Did I know you then?
Yeah, you did. My ears were pierced. Yes. My ears were pierced.
Yes, I feel like I remember this episode of not being allowed to wear hoops.
Was not allowed. These, come on.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Wasn't allowed to wear hoops.
Yeah.
Wasn't allowed to wear big earrings. And the reasoning behind it, I guess, was that didn't want me to wear things that were considered too grown before I was grown, if that made any sense. Yeah. But the thing about this is all my friends are wearing hoops. I grew up in the era of everybody was wearing hoops. I had to wear little studs, or had to wear them little hoops, them tiny baby hoops. Wasn't allowed to wear big hoops or anything. Or we used to wear these we used to wear these dangly diamondette earrings, big ones. This was like, I don't know how else to explain it other than, do you remember when Beyonce's first album came out?
No.
Well, I do. I do. She used to wear these big chandelier type earrings.
Okay.
So it was that's the era that I was in, early 2000s, mid 2000s. So I couldn't wear earrings and I wasn't allowed to wear hoops. And I remember my friend bought me some hoops, and I would obviously interchange them as I was going to and from school. And one day I forgot to take them out when I came home.
Oh gosh.
And my mom was like, "What's in your ears?
Oh snap.
What's that?
Oh snap.
What is going on?"
I feel like the Lord does that to every child. Every Christian child
has,
there must be an episode of being caught out. Not everything, may not be everything, but one thing. One time you'll
surely get caught, right? So I remember having to be like, I remember lying, and I remember saying, "Oh, it's my friends. Oh, it's my friend. She just made me wear them," because I knew she knew they were mine.
Yeah.
She did them, and then I wouldn't have them. So what she did was she took them, she kept them, and the next time she saw my friend, she gave them to my friend and told her, don't lend her her stuff like that.
I can see where this is
my
going.
My mom is a Jamaican, fam.
Oh my gosh.
Just her word is her word, and it is what it is. So you do it or You bear
But
the
did your friend say, "Oh no, they're hers"?
No,
Oh,
because
good.
I told
Okay.
my friend, so my friend was like, okay, all right, no problem, Miss Maxine, all right, it's fine.
Okay. I thought your
Um,
friend was
but just one thing. I was so scared of being different from other people. I grew up in the Echo hoodie
yes.
era,
Uh-huh.
Timberlands.
Mm-hmm.
Who rocks Echo hoodies and Timberlands? But nevertheless, and then growing up, I can think of a lot of it where fear of missing out caused me to do a lot of stuff, and obviously, lying became a part of it because you're covering up why you're not doing certain things or being certain things. So I became pretty good at lying in my teenage years. I can't tell a lie. I could weave you a nice little story, um, which I think is a result of fear of missing out, because you're always trying to explain away why can't I do this? They're going to the carnival. Why can't I go carnival?
Yeah.
Going to the fair. Why can't I go fair? But yes, what did FOMO look like for you growing up?
Okay, growing up. So not now, but growing up. Okay. So I think for me, it's interesting. I think for me, okay, you've mentioned things that are kind of feature based. So you went for earrings. I would say I went for this probably shop in BLM, our BLM podcast as well. I feared that missing out. I hated, well, not hated, but I was not comfortable, and this is probably something very familiar for many black people. Not everyone, but black females. Was that I really wanted to relax my hair. And I was natural for a very long time until the age of 14. My mom said, nope, not allowed to relax your hair. No, you're not allowed to relax your hair. And I remember being young and seeing everyone with beautiful, relaxed hair, straight. And I was there with my afro and the fringe that would not go down. I mean, I would slick my hair with water and products and try and it would come up for 5 seconds, not even 5 minutes, and then ping, 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 just do it, just real rebellious hair. And so I remember that when I was young, that was something that I knew that I really wanted, and everyone had, and I was just not allowed. And then I remember when eventually when I was 14, I was like, Mom, I want to relax my hair. I got my hair relaxed. And I remember that day just shaking my hair. It was flapping everywhere. I was like, yes! It was glorious until I cut off my hair. And common sense reigned. Not common sense, but I realized I didn't have the strength to use, because hair, that's a funny thing. Permed hair requires maintenance, and natural hair requires maintenance.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of your permed hair, it will break off, and it will look. I think it even looks okay. Listen, everybody, we love everybody. But there's no joy in permed hair that's not taken care of.
None.
Just none. It's just there's no joy in it. It doesn't look great.
It's frazzled.
And I would straighten. That's it. So not only did I perm my hair, then I beg for straightness, because everyone was straightening their hair. Everyone was having curling it. So I begged for it. And then eventually I got it, and my mom used to say we can smell frying from upstairs, etc. So that was interesting. And I think actually I think for me, when I was in secondary school, I knew that I wanted to be part of things that were happening with people. But because I went through that stage, I think between year 9 of not really having many friends, I got used to being left out, and then I got used to not caring, if that makes sense. So I would just go to the library and read my books. By the time I hit year 9, I was just like, you know what, this is my life now. And I didn't care about missing out, because the possibility was not there. Do you know what I mean? I feel like part of the fear of missing out is actually the possibility of being there. So for example, let's say in India right now, there's a massive celebration going on, and we don't care because we can't get there. We can't get there. And it's just the variables are just too hard to all pull in together for us to be there. So it doesn't matter. Do you see what I mean? But it's when something is quite close to in your reach, or the possibility or is in your mind that potentially or maybe or hope is there. When there's no hope, forget it. There's no fear of anything, because you know what I mean? So that happened to me. So I felt like I really didn't care. And so by the time I moved into into year 10 and year 11, where I had a lot more friends and I was kind of chilling with a different crowd of people who were probably a bit more popular, a bit more prominent. Again, I didn't always used to go to their stuff, and I still didn't care. You know what I mean? It didn't bother me. But I do remember actually, people like when we were younger in secondary school, people would have this thing on like MySpace, and they would say on MySpace who their best friends were.
Top 5 friends, yeah. I remember it very, very well. Your so top friends.
And you know, I remember the day that I made it, I was like, oh, goodness, because it was a really popular girl, and she had this list of people that she loved. Can you imagine? It's ridiculous. I think, all respect to you wherever you are, and if you're listening, I love you. I love you, girl. But in hindsight, and so one day I made it, and I was just like, boy, list it. You know, and so I think there was a fear of not making that list. I think
you made it, mommy. I made it.
There's a lot of lists that you should probably try and fight for, and those ones,
not it.
Kids, if you're listening, don't bother. Just live your life. So there was that, you know, within friendship circles. But I feel like going to events and going to things, probably not as much. I don't know. Are you? How are you doing this? Because I know that, as you can see, is gearing this conversation. We're just having it organically, but I want to see where Anella wants to take it. Are you saying? Are we looking at like secondary school? Are we looking at uni stages?
Yeah, we're gonna look at, because I think we are in. Well, I think that we're in different dispensations.
Why?
Just because of our age, but I want to take it up to where we are. So we did school, and as you know, our experiences have said, it was mainly centered around people, and well, Elizabeth's definitely kind of towards the end was when she became the popular girl in school. That's when but yeah, you see it's very kind of we can draw parallels, if that makes any sense, because I think of the age that we were. So yeah, we may have people that are listening who are in secondary school, and the fear of missing out for them may be along the lines of being included in friendship groups and being asked, called to parties, and Snapchats, being a part of private Snapchat stories, which I didn't know was a thing because I'm an old folk, but apparently it is. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, we can still draw parallels to that. I want to talk about college to university years, because I feel like, having done it, I wouldn't recommend it. 1 out of 10. That's my recommendations for college and university. It was just a stressful time in my life personally. Okay. So I want to talk about FOMO in that setting. So we've spoken about FOMO in secondary school. That's mainly to do with friendship groups. You know, you're still growing. You don't even really know who you are, but you're still very much influenced and defined by what is around you and those that are around you. And you don't want to miss out on that shared experience with them. So you will do things that you know, shouldn't necessarily do. I was thinking about it, and I was remembering the fact that, okay, so gonna keep it honest conversation, yeah? Honest to God conversation, right? Mama, I love you.
It's not honest to the audience again.
It's honest. If it's honest to God, fam, you're getting the truth as well. I remember in school. I remember said last podcast I talked about the fact that I started smoking quite young, and I can remember I am not, like I said, I'm not about that. There's something about the way God created. God knew what he was doing when he was creating me, right? So when it comes to stuff like smoking the marijuana and the crunk and all that stuff, my body's not made for it. I can't do it, Elizabeth.
It's not part of your constitution, as you said last time.
It's not a part of my constitution. It's just not. Yeah. So I can remember the first time I smoked weed, didn't like it. Mm-hmm. Second time I smoked weed, didn't like it. And I was thinking about it. I was like, why did I keep smoking this if I didn't like it?
Yeah.
Because the people that I hung around with, it was very much a part of the social thing that they did and that we did, if that made any sense. So it was one of them things that I would just keep doing. It wasn't until I had a really, really bad trip where I thought I was going to die. It was so bad. I remember being in history class and my friends were like, Anella, act normal. What are you doing? This is horrible. My head felt like it was going to like explode.
This after weed?
This was after something they called crank. I don't know what it was. It was a little bit hash. I think it's hash. I don't know what it was, but it was a little bit more than weed. And I promise you, it was that day that I knew that Anella and drugs didn't quite go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But my thing was, I really thought about it, and I really thought, if I already knew that I didn't like smoking weed and I didn't like smoking those things, why did I graduate up to this point? Because of the fear of missing out, because everybody was doing it. And I couldn't be the only one in the group that wasn't doing it. It was very much the beehive mentality. I did not have that mindset. I was afraid of missing out. I was afraid of, and then when we're finished and everybody has the munchies, we'll be talking about, oh, we've got the munchies together. Do you know what I mean? And then tomorrow, you're shaking your head, but that was the reality of the situation. So it was that fear of missing out. And I think that, mine may be a little bit, my example may be a little bit extreme, but I don't think it is extreme, because I think that people in secondary school now are faced with a lot more than just weed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot more stuff made available there and then. And I just want to make this very clear. We do not endorse drugs in any way, shape or form. Thank you very much. Don't do it, kids. Stay in school. It's not worth it.
Anybody. Kids.
Adults. Aunties.
Grandmas.
Don't do it.
Granddaddy.
Don't do it. But
yes. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. And I feel like that's not an uncommon story, or should we say uncommon narrative.
Yeah.
Ooh. An uncommon but it's not an uncommon narrative with drugs, I think, definitely. I haven't had drugs before, but I feel like, funny enough, I'm going to bring up the cross and the switchblade. So David Wilkerson, and reading a lot about his interactions when I read that when I was quite young, and so really reading the stories that people had to go through, and just the general social drugs are a social thing as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the experience, whether negative or positive, you're participating in something. You'll go for the negative because of the positivity of the euphoria that everybody's experiencing and can discuss afterwards.
Yeah. It was very stupid decisions. Honestly, I feel like it was so stupid. Moving on to college and uni, I feel like because of that, when it came to college and university, because I went to a very, Jesus, take the wheel and give me words. I went to a very European college and university, if you get my drift. Like I said, I was one of the only Black girls in both settings. But when I've moved on to university, there were people in my university that were taking horse tranquilizers. Tranquilizer. When I heard this thing, I said no. Wow. I said no. You guys, it can't. But I think because I knew that I wasn't I knew I know I'm not a drugs person, so it didn't even entice me. I didn't even feel like I was missing
Yeah,
out on anything.
yeah,
And I think it's the same thing you were saying, because you had started off secondary school kind of by yourself. By the time it came to year 9, you were just like, this is standard. I don't need to go to everywhere.
yeah,
You
yeah.
had
That's it.
already kind of established that thing. So I want to ask, FOMO in college and uni, what did that look like?
Again, so I moved sixth form to a sixth form. Then I moved from my secondary school to a sixth form. And to be honest, again, I think because of my experience I just had a different level of independence. I just didn't care. I just didn't care. I didn't care about not being invited anywhere. I was very independent. I went to a sixth form that was majority white. So again, getting into, and I went to a grammar school. So the grammar school sixth form. So the caliber of people that you're mixing with,
Yeah.
they're just completely disassociated. Not completely, but I think, no, let
Right.
me be true. A lot of the interactions that I had from from the year sevens, because there were year sevens there also upwards, you could definitely see the disassociation with uh with black people, I think, who've got BLM next week. So that's a whole other discussion about education and circles. So again, I found myself in a climate where I had friends. Actually, this time I had friends. I had met some amazing people there. Shout out to all of you. You know yourselves. Lol. But jokes aside, I met some other people there. But I was still very independent, and I didn't care about anything. So university now, fast forward, still that in terms of social circles, still very independent. And I feel like that's something that I've carried on but we'll wait. So I can see already that that's not maybe completely true what I was about to say. But for uni and secondary school, I could definitely say that. For uni, I think what actually I think I had the fear of missing out on was Black excellence. Now, for me, it was like, you go through secondary school, etc. So then you go into university. I went to university. My university was pretty good. And so there was not a lot of Black people, but there were all these amazing opportunities. Now, there was now all of these Black excellence, awards for diversity, awards for doing this, internships, etc., etc., etc. And that's where the pressure hit. It was not, I didn't care. I didn't want to go partying. I had no inclination. I was by university, like I mentioned in second podcast, where I was on my thing with God and I was really serious about God. I wanted God. I wanted to see God move through my university. And that was a beautiful thing. But if there was one thing that I knew that I felt the pressure of and I really had to shrug off, was Black excellence. Now it's crazy, and I don't want to talk about Black excellence because of BLM next week, but Black excellence in itself provides a pressure that is unfortunate because we are trying to prove, we're not trying to prove, we're trying to highlight the excellence of our community in the light of adversity and in light of adverse conditions. But in that very same celebration, another level of pressure comes on the community again. And those are aware of these spaces of excellence. It's now like, whatever success I do, if it's not recognized by this firm, by this company, then it's not success. Can you see? So that brings a whole level of pressure and stuff. And so being in university where I went to University of York, essentially. So and there it was just like, people were so driven. It was banks, it was law, it was finance, it was this, and everybody wanted. So I definitely felt the pressure of, Lord, my CV. I fear of missing out on my internship, fear of missing out on Black excellence, fear of missing out on becoming somebody of a reputable status in the eyes of my peers, in the eyes of companies, and not having anything to show. And the thing is, that's the sad thing, is you have something to show, but is it qualified by the status of excellence as we know it? Is it, if it's not these firms, is it really excellent? If it's not these companies, is it really? What's she talking about? So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people will look at LinkedIn, people will look and see, you know, people will check each size everyone up. Lord. And so I really had to come out of that space. I really, by the second year, first year, I thank God I got into a whole lot of schemes. I met amazing places. I went to amazing things. Second year, things that the devil is a liar. So, and, but I felt the pressure. But by third year, I had realized God had started to work in me in a place where I realized that my life is too big to narrow down to this moment in time.
Yeah.
I cannot say the summation of my excellence and the summation of who I am is now dependent on what's happened up till the point of 21 years old or 22 years old. And so that was definitely something that I had to really, even to the point of when I started, just before I started working, I really had to disassociate myself from, you know, feeling like I hadn't done enough, or I hadn't, what my ability, you know. And it's such a shame, because the community that is meant to celebrate you, the community that we're all trying to push each other up, all of a sudden start to look in themselves, and this now becomes a separation. It becomes a divide. That's sad, isn't it? You know. And so we won't talk about that anyway, in terms of, you know, because I'm all pro Black excellence. I you know me, I love it. I push people to work hard, go to school, read books, get your very pro it, because I see the value in it. Come with it. I see the psychological pressures, I see the social pressures, and I see how disqualify themselves simply because they didn't get to certain places. That was uni for me.
Our university experience were definitely different, fam. 100%. So different.
It's so different.
Yeah, it was actually really, really different. I didn't have academic pressure like that. Obviously wanting to do good, but my mom was very, very supportive, and I think that she's very not the typical what you would expect a Black parent to be like when it comes to academic and stuff like that. You know, there's always this drive, and I get it, there's always this drive to be doctors, to be engineers, to be lawyers, to be all these kind of things. But my mom is just like, don't go and be a doctor if you don't like it, because you have wasted your time and you're in a profession that you don't like. So she always encouraged me to follow what it is that I was passionate about, what I was really interested in, which is why I've got a diploma in music technology. In college, that's what I did. I did music tech in college. Absolutely loved it.
That's it.
And then I did a big jump from music tech to theology in university. So do you know what I mean? I didn't have that pressure per se. I think that when it came to like being in university, when I was in college, was there fear of missing out? Sort of, but not really, because at this point I was definitely I definitely stood out from all my friends, because I was the only Christian in my class at this point. So I already stood out. So people already side-eyed me differently. I didn't go out drinking with them. They loved the pub. Well, let's go for a cheeky pint after lecture. They loved doing that. Didn't do that. I took myself home. And I didn't really have that missing. I think it's weird though. Even though I didn't have that, I really found myself adopting to a lot of their niches. So this is when my email phase
Mhm.
came in.
Mhm.
If you remember that phase very well,
Mhm.
do you know what I mean? My style had changed
Yes.
because even though on a broader scope, we weren't connected because I didn't have friends. I didn't make friends like that in college for 2 years. I didn't make friends like that. I had people that I was cool with and that I would talk to, but I didn't make deep and meaningful friendships
Yeah.
in college like that. And
Mhm.
even though I knew that and I kind of I had made my peace with that, I still wanted my outer appearance to fit in with how everybody else was looking, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
I completely changed my style. I
Mhm.
completely changed my hair.
Mhm.
In
Yeah.
terms of even music, people were like, "Oh my god, you listen to rock music?" I mean, that was for me. That was a good change, simply because
What did you listen to? The Arctic Monkeys and
um I was more of a Kings of Leon, Enter
Kings of Leon.
Shikari. Like some of these are,
I
huh?
just mentioned Arctic Monkey. I never listened to them. I just felt like this is something I've heard for
But
my listeners. Let me not even pretend to you today.
more of that kind of rocky, poppy. I don't know how to explain it, but it really, that's the one thing that kind of came from it, because even though I wanted to look like everybody else, and we would have these, I was doing music technology, so we would do these recording sessions with people who are in the music department. A lot of them were into obviously rock and stuff like that. So in terms of my musical taste just really expanded, which I'm really grateful for, because I have got such an eclectic taste in music. Even to this day, I can listen to
Yeah.
almost anything apart from rap. Rap is just the one thing that I've never really,
That's so funny.
I've never really been down with like that. But anyways, but yeah, in terms of fear of missing out in university, it reflected itself in the way that I carried myself and I dressed, and the way I did my hair, and I started to wear makeup, but I was wearing the panda makeup, like the eyeliner, the pencil one all around my eyes,
Oh
top
gosh,
and
yeah.
bottom, and quite thick.
Yes,
And then
yes.
I remember I used to have, because black hair don't do that rock thing.
Mm-mm.
So when I got my weaves done, I would cut
Cut
it into the shape of, like, I've got pictures. It's hilarious. But anyways, you remember those times.
it.
And then
Oh my
wearing the
god.
gloves and the stuff. So that's how FOMO presented itself in college for me. In university, I think that I definitely did a lot of things. And I don't think it was because of fear of missing out in college, because in uni, because in university I was very fortunate to make some great friends. I met some amazing people in university. Um so, and they've always been just like, okay, we know you're unique, so just be unique. Like,
Mm.
we know you're a bit crazy, and that's fine. You don't need to try and be,
Anything else?
you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
had friends that they used to call me Obi. I was
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with Star Wars. So they used to be like, Obi, just do it, like
Yeah.
nobody cares. So in that aspect, I don't think that I think that definitely, I don't even know if I'm making any sense. In that aspect, I think that I didn't really struggle with fear of missing out like that, because I found my people.
Yes,
And because
yes.
I found my people, they weren't leaving me out. There were
Mm-hmm.
one or two times where they would go like raving and stuff like that, and I'd feel a certain way because I'd never really be asked. But then, I know they wouldn't ask me because they know I wouldn't go.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. But in the time, you kind of feel like, oh, they're going to this and they're not including me, they're not asking me, and da 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 da. But it was just, they would ask me and I'd say no. So they just didn't ask, if that makes any sense. So there were little bits like that, but nothing in university. In university, I just did what I wanted to do, fam.
Yeah, yeah.
I marched to the beat of my own drum.
That's it.
I got on with I didn't feel academically pressured because it was theology, and that came somewhat easy for me because of all the years in church.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, that's what it looks like. So we've done those two. and ours have definitely, we've now gone to different parallels. We're in different worlds now.
Oh gosh.
We're definitely in different worlds now. So what is it now? What does it look like now? What would you say right now as you are? Fear of missing out. And this, you don't have to answer this. No, actually, you do have to answer this.
Yeah, because that's
you do have to answer this. But this is going to be a little bit more
interesting.
Yeah. Because I'm asking you to be a little bit more vulnerable.
Oh. Viewers, are you paying me to be vulnerable? Let me know. I'll drop my bank account details after this.
I'm just asking for, because this is something, because I think
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear you first, because
of course why wouldn't you want to hear? I like this.
I think our answers may be a little bit different because like I said, we are at
different stages of life,
different stages right now.
Okay. Well, okay, different, similar. Okay, so essentially, like I said, after university, going into the working world and creating a space for yourself. So for me, I knew by God's grace that for me, I was going in a direction that my academics, my degree wasn't taking me in. And I think, to be honest, so that was interesting. And I think, again, the ability to be able to become, I think the fear of missing out on yourself, your potential, your capability, your abilities is something that has tried to creep in every now and again. But I just, really been bringing God into that mix and being like, everyone has potential in them, and that potential not being realized, the fear of missing out on oneself is something that I've been thinking about and really trying to think, okay, I was talking to my mom earlier on that, a few days ago, just about the ability of being emptying everything of your ability, emptying all of yourself and becoming everything that you're meant to be. I think also the fear of missing out on what God is doing was another thing, post university. So this is now in this stretch of the past 2 years, missing out on what God is doing. I had taken my walk with God very seriously in university, but it was very personal to me. I still love God. I don't say I loved God so much, but God's been doing the work with me, but I love God. I loved it. It was so personal to me. It was such a personal thing. And I was not exposed to any Christian influencers, nothing, nobody, nothing at all. Stepping out of university, stepping into different spaces and places and things like that, I think I realized God is moving in people's lives and he's using them in such different ways. And the pressure, the fear of missing out on what God is doing, because you see God doing things in people's lives, you're like, whoa, where, what? And again, the hierarchical kind of perspective happens. And one thing that I remember, there was a verse that I remember where it talks about when Jesus came, everybody was excited, etc., etc. And I can't remember exactly, I'm paraphrasing, but it was talking about how it was noised abroad that Jesus was around. It's just, unfortunately, I don't remember the reference because it's just coming to me now. But essentially, what's helped me is to realize that my life is an event in itself. Do you know what I mean? It is an event that is happening. It's taking place. The show is happening right now because I'm alive. And so very often we look at other people's, everything's happening over there. No, you're happening. And you need to understand, and you are happening, you are journeying, the event is on, the show is on, because there's life still in your body. And that's something I had to reconcile in my heart and my mind, and not be afraid that God would not, that I had to understand that God is rich unto all those that call upon him. Essentially, that verse says, he's rich unto all those that call upon him. So that was another thing being able to the fear of missing out myself, the fear of missing out what God is doing.
Hey guys, it's Onella here. So this is where we're going to end this part of our FOMO episode. As we were doing the podcast, we really didn't realize that we were talking so much. So we've decided to do a two-parter for this podcast. So obviously this part has been released because you're listening to it, but the next part will be released on the 9th of August 2020. So if it's before that date, make sure you stay tuned and you look out for that, because that will be released on that Sunday. And if it's past the 9th of August 2020, you can always just go and find part 2. And in part 2 we will be really talking about relationships, and you really don't want to miss out on that. But until then, don't forget that you can follow CTN on Instagram and Twitter at CTN_UK. And we will see you in 2 days with the next part of this podcast. Until then, guys, God bless.